Leave my present right now. I am giving you 7 days to bring her here. If you fear your suffering will surpass that of Job in the Bible. His voice thundered. I turned and ran out of the shrine. I had 7 days, or my life was over. I walked back to my car and started driving, but my mind was filled with too many thoughts. How am I going to convince Judith? What if I explain things to her and she exposes me to everyone? I was so lost in thought driving at a full speed that I didn't notice the Lexus in front of me had already hit the brake. Before I knew it, I crashed into the car with full force. Luckily, I wasn't hurt. I just sat there holding the steering wheel, my body frozen in place. Immediately, 4 guys stepped out of the car, and from their dressing and attitude, I could tell they were Yahoo boys. The driver, a tall guy with dreadlocks, was foaming. "Guy, what is wrong with you now? I just bought this car last week. I don't want to hear any excuses, so fix my car before wahala start here." He kept talking, but I just sat there like someone who had given up on life. Then one of his guys chuckled. "This one no be car owner, maybe na chairman send am message. If na your own nko, e no go give drive like mumu." They continued mocking me, but I was too drained to care. I slowly stepped out of my car. Then I looked at the guy and asked, "How much did you buy the car?" He scoffed, 3.2 million. I nodded, pulled out my phone and requested for his account details. He hesitated, confused. "For what now?" I transferred 4.5 million naira to him on the spot. "Go and get a new car," I said, "and change the rims. Your car looks boring. I have bigger problems than this." His mouth fell open and his friends checked the credit card. Without saying another word, I entered my damaged car and slowly drove away, heading to the mechanic village. At the workshop, I told the panel beater to cover the car. "I don't even know if I come back for it," I muttered. I wasn't in the mood to deal with it. There were bigger problems on my plate. Baba had already reminded me that I had only 2 days left. As I ended the call, I made a decision. I was going to play a fast one on Baba. I called Judith. "Babe, can you escort me somewhere?" She agreed and I picked her up. As I drove near Baba's shrine, I stopped the car. Judith looked confused. "Why are we stopping here?" I forced a smile. "I wanted to see my uncle. Just follow me, please." To make the trick more convincing, I added, "My uncle is a street imam. He doesn't allow anyone to wear shoes when entering his compound." She nodded and happily removed her shoes, thinking she was about to meet my family. "Finally, I get to meet someone from your family," she said with a smile. In my mind, I thought, this one is looking for marriage. We entered the compound and walked straight to Baba. The moment Judith saw Baba's shrine, her entire body stiffened. She froze, her eyes darting around in fear. I quickly hugged her and whispered, "Relax, babe, it's okay," she greeted Baba, and we gestured for us to sit down. Then I turned to Baba. "Explain it to her exactly as you told me." I needed Judy to understand the gravity of the situation. Baba slowly turned his dark piercing gaze at me. If you would see the way the man looked at me, if you see the wicked eyes he gave me, I immediately looked away, pretending to focus on something else. For a whole minute, Baba didn't speak. He just stared at me as if I've committed an unforgivable abomination. In his mind, I was a big witch. Finally, asked what seems like forever, Baba finally spoke up. "Listen, my daughter," Baba began in a deep, slow voice. "This your boyfriend, some time ago. He came to seek my help so that his Yahoo work would be more successful. I worked for him and I warned him. I warned him that he must not sleep with a woman during her period." Baba turned to me. "But he ignored my orders and he slept with you." Judy gasped, covering her mouth. Now Baba continued. "The only way out is to please the both of you to appease the gods. If you refuse, he will run mad within 2 days. He will beg for death, but death will not come." He turned to Judith and said, "And you will never give birth in this life, no matter where you go." The shrine fell into complete silence. Judith's breathing became erratic. Then she suddenly stood up, grabbed her bag and stormed out. I instinctively followed her, but Baba raised his hand. "Sit down." I stopped, my heart pounding. "Baba, what if she exposes me?" I asked, my voice trembling. Baba smirked. "Don't worry about that. I had already done something about it. If she tries to tell anyone, she won't even remember what she wanted to say." I let out a shaky breath. Then I turned back towards the exit and followed Judith outside. When I stepped outside, I saw Judith standing near my car, her hand resting against it. The moment she saw me, she signed and said, "Let's go back inside." I froze. "Why?" She turned to me, her face serious. "I have something to ask Baba." I nodded and led her back inside. She took a deep breath and faced Baba. I am ready to do it. I turned sharply. What? Baba nodded. Good, but on one condition. Judith folded her hand. If I go through this, he must marry me. I turned to Baba. Which one is no problem? Baba, are you going to marry her? But I didn't say it loud. I kept quiet. I didn't want to run mad in 2 days. For the next 3 days, we stayed at Baba's shrine, undergoing the cleansing ritual. It was not an easy process. When it was over, Baba said, Daniel, your destiny and Judith are now tied down together. Baba's word kept echoing in my head. Your destiny and Judith are tied together like this. You must never make her angry, no matter what. If Judith gets upset, your life will spoil. Things will go slow for you. Always make sure that she's happy, even if it means buying the word for her. I glanced at Judith as she listened attentively, a small smile creeping into her lips. This girl knew what she was doing. Baba's explanation heavily favored her, and she was enjoying every bit of it. I knew in my heart that this girl would show me pepper. After the long talk, Baba finally said, You two can go home. I felt relieved. At least for now, my life wouldn't be ruined. We left the shrine and drove in silence, each of us lost in our own thoughts. When I got home, I powered in my laptop, and just like magic, those clients who had abandoned me suddenly started responding again. It was as if a heavy burden had been lifted from my hustle. I felt a rush of relief. Baba's cleansing had worked. The same day, I dropped Judith off her place, thinking that would be the end of my problem. But the next day, my phone rang. It was Judith. I need to talk to you, she said. What is it? I need a new car. I signed and deeply sat up. Judith, I just settled everything with Baba yesterday. Let's take things slowly. No, Daniel, she cut me off immediately. If my happiness is the key to your success, then you need to make me happy. I want a car and I don't want to repeat myself. I ran my hand over my head. Frustrated, this girl had barely given me a breathing space. Then she's making another demand. I decided not to argue. If Baba said I must make her happy, then I had no choice. I called my panel beater in the mechanic village and told him to fix up my Acura ZDX because I wanted to give it to Judith. I even instructed him to take the car to a sprayer to make it look brand new before delivering it to her. The car was finally delivered in perfect condition, shining like it just came out of the showroom. I handed it over to Judith, adding plenty of apologies like a man begging for his life. Just manage this for now, I told her. When things improve, I will upgrade it for you. She took the keys, examined the car with her sharp eyes, and finally said, Okay, but don't forget your promise. I should have known that Judith was just getting started. At first, it was just the car, but the next day she wanted an all-paid expense trip to UK. The day after, she asked for expensive human hair that cost over 800,000 naira. Then she told me that she wanted her own house. I signed again, feeling trapped, but I remembered Baba's warning. So I agreed without argument. I went ahead and built her a 4-bedroom flat, fully furnished. At that point, I didn't even realize that Judith had ulterior motive. I kept convincing myself that as long as she was happy, my business would continue to flourish. I controlled myself despite everything, refusing to react to her excesses because of Baba's warning. But Judith really dealt with me, no lies. She knew she couldn't have children with any other man, and she used that as a weapon against me. She started sleeping around as she pleased, bringing different men into the house I built for her. But I still didn't react, fearing that if I made her angry, my life would crumble. Until one fateful day when everything changed. That day, I decided to check on Judith at the house I built for her. I wasn't expecting anything unusual. I just wanted to see how she was doing. But what I saw that day nearly made my heart explode. As I walked into the house, I saw a man sitting comfortably on my expensive couch, holding a remote like he owned the place. He was relaxing with his legs widespread, wearing only singlet and boxers, looking completely at home. My head went blank. Who are you? The man asked, looking at me without a single trace of fear. And what are you doing in my house? I was too shocked to respond. Before I could even find words, Judith walked out of the bedroom holding a bottle of wine and 2 glasses. My heart started pounding. She saw me, froze for a second, then quickly composed herself. She didn't even look guilty. Instead, she turned to the man and said, Go back inside, baby. Let me talk to him. The man nodded like he was obeying his wife and casually walked into the room. I stood there boiling with anger, but I kept quiet, waiting for Judith to explain herself. She sighed dramatically, placed the bottle of wine on the table, then turned to me. "I don't understand," she said, folding her hands. "Are you spying on me? You don't have any right over my life." Judith snapped, arms folded across her chest, her eyes blazing with defiance. "In fact, let me remind you, in case you have forgotten, you are the one who needs me the most, not the other way round. Didn't your baba say I can't have children for another man? If I ever get too serious, I can always adopt a child. So as you can see now, leave my house. I am done with you. Get out before I lose my temper." I stood there frozen, my fists clenching and unclenching at my side. I wanted to react. I wanted to remind her who made her who she was. But Baba's warning kept ringing in my head. You must never make her angry no matter what. If Judy gets upset, your life will spoil. Things will go slow for you. Always make sure that she's happy, even if it means buying the word for her. So I did the only thing I could do. I turned around and walked away. I got into my car and sat there gripping the steering wheel tightly, my mind was spinning. Women will always be difficult, I won't lie to you. As I was about to start my car and drive off, my phone rang. It was Judith. I hesitated, staring at the screen. What could she possibly want now? Then I picked up the call. "Daniel, please, I can see your car outside," she said sweetly, her voice the complete opposite of the venom she has spilled at me. "I know you haven't left yet. Please, help us buy food from that fast food near Shell Road. We are very hungry. Please hurry up." I ended the call while she was still talking. My grip tightened on the steering wheel. Is this how Judith wants to treat me? What did I even do to deserve this? I have done nothing but provide for her, make sure she had everything she wanted, and yet she wasn't satisfied. No problem, I drove to the fast food restaurant and bought 2 plates of food. But as I was about to head back to Judith's house, an idea hit me. No, I need to send a stronger message. I stopped by at a hardware store and picked up a thick, solid wooden plank. If this guy wanted to act like a king of the house, he was about to learn a lesson today. When I went back to Judith's house, I saw something that made my blood boil. Instantly, Judith and the guy were kissing each other passionately right there in my house, in my presence. They didn't even care whether I was there. I expected Judith to stop when she saw me, but she glanced at my direction, completely unbothered, and casually said, "Please drop the food on the table." Visions went blurred with anger. This girl thinks I'm a joke. I dropped the food on the table and walked back to my car. But I wasn't leaving. No, not today. I popped the trunk and pulled out the thick wooden plank. This boy was about to meet the real Daniel. I stormed back into the house, lifted the wood and smashed the big. The guy jumped in shock. That was the moment he realized that I wasn't there to play. I turned to him with murder in my eyes. Before he could react, I swung the plank at his back with full force. The impact sent him crashing to the floor. He tried to get up. I stepped on his chest, pressing him down. "Who sent you?" I growled. He coughed, struggling to breathe. "You want to be a big boy in my house, Abi?" I whipped him again, this time across his leg. Judith, realizing how angry I was, ran forward to stop me. I swung the plank in her direction. If she hadn't dodged, she could have been in the hospital next to this guy. She stepped back quickly, understanding that this was beyond her control. I turned back to the guy. One final strike, I brought the wood down on his knees with full force. He screamed, then collapsed, unconscious. Judith let out a loud scream, covering her mouth with both hands. She started crying. I had done enough damage. I pulled out my phone and called my friend's doctor. "Bro, I need you at the hospital now." Together, we rolled the guy to the hospital. I wasn't a killer, but I needed to teach him a lesson. When I returned to Judith's house, she was gone. As I walked back to my car, my phone rang again. It was Baba. "You are playing with your life, Daniel." His voice was cold. "Make sure you and Judy come to see me within the next 2 days or else." He ended the call. I immediately called Judith. She didn't pick. I sent an apology message on her WhatsApp. No response. The next morning, I called 8 times. No response. I drove to her house. She wasn't there. This was getting serious. I called Baba back. "Baba, I haven't seen Judith since yesterday. I've been calling her, but she's not picking up." Baba signed. "That is your problem. Judith is like a small god in your life now. Just find her. Go anywhere you need to go and bring her here so that we can appease her, or else," I swallowed, "or else what? There will be impending doom." With that, he ended the call. At that moment, I felt my world shatter. Appeaser, I thought, is she some kind of spirit? The day Baba has set for us to meet arrived. I got into my car, but I felt defeated. How was I supposed to face the Baba without Judith? Just as I was about to give up, I saw her. She was walking towards my car from a distance. I exhaled in relief as she got into the passenger seat without a word. Why haven't you been picking my call? I started. Shut up and drive. I clenched my jaw. This small girl just told me to shut up. No problem until we reached Baba's shrine. We didn't exchange a single word. The moment we arrived, Judith rushed inside ahead of me. Before I could even settle down, she started shouting at Baba. I didn't come here for any ritual. She snapped. I came to tell you that I am done. I'm no longer interested in this whole thing. I understand the consequences and I'm ready to face them. If I want a child, I will adopt, that's all. Baba's eyes darkened. I tried to calm her down. Judith, don't talk to Baba like that. She ignored me and stormed out. I made a move forward to her, but Baba stopped me. Leave her, he said. Go home and return in 3 days. We will see if there is a solution to replace Judith or if she will come to her senses. I swallowed hard. Baba asked me to leave some money to appease the gods. I obeyed, but deep down, I knew my troubles were far from over. When I got home, I saw my gate man holding a stick and standing by my gate. It was the same stick I used to beat that man until he fainted. I wondered how the stick ended up in my house. As soon as the gate man saw me, he walked up to me and there I was standing. Boss, I don't know what is wrong with small madam. She came home with this stick. I even greeted her, but she didn't respond. The next thing I heard was the sound of things being destroyed. I asked him to repeat himself, then hurried out of my car. When I got into the living room, I saw that Judith had smashed the TV in my parlor. The TV I bought for 1.1 million naira. She had also destroyed the TVs in the room. Then she took a knife and slashed the expensive chairs in the parlor, as if she was fighting with them. After destroying the chairs, she poured red oil all over. Judith is a real troublemaker. She came prepared. After spilling the palm oil, she connected a hose to the tap in my bedroom and another in the tap in my kitchen. Then she dragged those hoses into the parlor. She turned on both taps and now my parlor was a total mess. Water everywhere, red oil in one corner, and my broken TV floating in the water. Luckily, my laptop was untouched. I rolled up my trouser and waded through the water. First, I went to the kitchen, disconnected the hose, and turned off the tap. Then I did the same in the bedroom. I walked into my room, gathered some clothes, and packed them in a bag along with my laptop. I told the gate man to rearrange the parlor and to call me once he was done, so that I could replace the chairs and TV that Judith had damaged. After that, I decided to check into a hotel for night. Exactly 1 week later, Baba called me and said he has consulted the gods on my behalf about Judith. The gods said that Judith cannot be replaced, but if I insist on replacing her, I must lose something valuable. However, I wouldn't lose any part of my body or die. As soon as I heard something valuable, my heart began to race. I asked Baba what the valuable thing was I would lose, and he said he couldn't tell me until we met in the shrine. I said no problem. I picked up my phone, scrolled down my WhatsApp status, and saw that Judith had updated hers. She was already in Dubai wearing a bikini and chilling in the beach. I shook my head and closed down the WhatsApp. The man later called me and told me that he had finished cleaning the house. I went to replace everything Judith had damaged. I bought a new set of chairs, beautiful TV. Then Baba called and told me to come to his shrine. When I got there, Baba told me that he had tried his best to intercede on my behalf, but the gods insisted on Judith. I asked him what the valuable thing I might lose was, and he said that the gods were there to reveal it to me. He then told me that we needed to perform a ritual to untie my destiny from Judith, and that I should need to spend the next 7 days in the shrine. I didn't have any other option because I didn't want to go mad after the whole 7-day cleaning. I went home expecting something to happen, but exactly 1 month later, one of my relatives called me from the village to tell me that my mother had passed away. She said the manner of her death surprised everyone. She explained that they flogged my mother in a dream and that the dream turned into reality, leaving marks on her body. She told me that before my mother passed away, she kept shouting my name, Daniel, Daniel, Daniel. Oh, what did I do to deserve this kind of death? As I dropped the call, I became weak. Why did Baba and the gods do this to me? They didn't tell me it was my mother. Oh, why did they cast me out of my family like this? Did they not think that it would be better to let her die peacefully in her sleep or pass away in any other quiet way? Why did she have to die like this, calling my name? How do I face my family and answer the questions now? 3 days later, my family summoned me to the village. They told me to come or else something bad will happen to me. The death of my mother made me so weak. I won't lie. I never thought that she was the most valuable thing to lose because I believed she was safe in the village after Baba's last attempt on her life. This time she died calling my name. How will I face my family now? Should I bring backup like forearm just in case? But if I do, they will suspect my involvement in my mother's death. I said, all die na die. After 2 days, I gathered the courage to go back to the village. The meeting was very harsh. They called me a blood ritualist and said I used my mother for ritual. They wanted to tell me that I knew about my mother's death, but I said I didn't know anything and that I only returned home to bury my mother peacefully. They told me I wasn't in a position to bury her and asked me to step aside. First, they told me to give them 5 minutes. I stepped outside and stayed by my car, watching the area just in case they planned an attack on me. If I saw any youth carrying a weapon, I would drive away and leave them. After about 8 minutes, they told me to come back inside. The elderly man was the first to speak. Daniel, we have discussed this matter and have decided to disown you. You will no longer be part of our family and you will no longer think of this community again. You do not belong here because we will tell the king to banish you immediately. We will consider you only if you explain how your mother died. Until then, leave this village and never return to this compound. If I just walked away like that, they would think I'm truly guilty. I decided to cause some drama. I burst into tears. You are wicked. All of you are wicked. Today I know the truth. The family has no conscience at all. I am mourning my beloved mother who died, yet you refused me to bury her. You disown me, you still banish me. But don't worry, God sees all of us and he will judge all of us, I said crying. I held my chest as I shed crocodile tears. As I cried, all of them just looked at me thinking, see this pretender, no problem. I walked to my car and started and drove away. When I drove a little distance, I parked the car and brought out a handkerchief to clean the fake tears. After a while, my family set a date for my mother's burial and she was buried in my absence. When I got home, my computer beeped. I wanted to ignore it, but it beeped again. Then I checked my laptop. I saw that my client from Cyprus had sent me money. It was the biggest payment I had ever received. I started doing Yahoo. A whole $3 million. When I saw the money, I was shocked. I was still looking at the laptop when Baba called me to come. Congratulations, my child. You have paid your price in full. And now your cash out is confirmed. The gods has finally separated you from Judith. Just live your life from now on. Judith no longer matters. Judith even needs you more now because only you can make her pregnant in this life. Baba, why did the gods kill my mother? Why did the gods not reveal that my mother was going to die? I don't like that part at all. Baba replied, it is not your place to question the gods. The gods has finally freed you from Judith. That was what mattered. Very careful now, especially from women from now onward. Goodbye. I thought about Judith. I'm yet to decide what to do with her, but I must deal with her. It was her stubbornness that made me lose my mother. I only have my Tundra for now. After I made a lot of money, I ordered the latest model of Chevrolet Camaro online, which cost 29 million naira, and the car arrived at my place exactly 1 week later. The car was amazing, both the interior and exterior. Very impressive. I checked my WhatsApp status and saw that Judith was already in Nigeria. She posted a picture with a man putting his head on her chest, captioning it all. She's just doing all this to make me angry. Honestly, I don't know what I deserve this treatment from this girl. I decided to go to the club to celebrate my car. I spent the money that day. I bought drinks for everyone in the club, threw money around, and people started pecking. I even gave the hype man 300,000 naira only to call my name. People recorded videos of my reckless spending that night, and those videos started trending all over social media. The video trended to the extent that Judith wore them on her phone. Immediately she gave me 10 missed calls. I ignored Judith's call at first. Let her stew in her jealousy. Let her see that I was thriving without her. But after the 10th missed call, curiosity got the best of me. I picked up. Daniel, her voice was softer than I expected. Why are you doing this? I scoffed. Doing what? Judith, living my life? She hesitated. I saw the videos. So this is what you have become, a show-off after everything. I chuckled. What exactly did she expect me to do? Cry over you? Mourn over your betrayer? She signed. Daniel, listen, I need to see you. There's something I have to tell you. It's important. I rolled my eyes. Judith, whatever you have, say it to me now. I can't, she said quickly. It's something you need to hear in person. I hesitated. I didn't trust her, not after everything she had done, but something in her voice sounded different. almost desperate. Fine, I finally said. Meet me at Hilton Rooftop Lounge tomorrow, 8 p.m. She agreed and ended the call. I tossed my phone on the bed and stared at the ceiling. What could Judy possibly want now? The next evening, I pulled up to the Hilton Rooftop Lounge in my brand new Chevrolet Camaro. Heads turned as I stepped out. People whispered. Cameras flashed. I had become a celebrity of sorts, a walking enigma of money and mystery. Judith was already there, sitting in a corner, both dressed in a fitted red gown that hugged her curve. She still looked how irresistible. But I reminded myself why I was here. I sat across from her. Talk. She leaned forward, lowering her voice. Daniel, you are in danger. I raised a brow. You dragged me here for this nonsense. I'm serious, she whispered sharply. Listen to me. Vince. He's coming for you. I frowned. Vince. That is old news now. I have surpassed him in wealth. He got nothing on me. Judith shook her head. You don't understand. He's been going to a new baba, a more powerful one. He's been doing things, dangerous things. He wants to take everything from you. I clenched my jaw. Let him try. Judith grabbed my hand. Daniel, please. This isn't just about money anymore. It's about survival. He's not coming to compete. He's coming to destroy you. I pulled my hands away. And why should I trust you? She hesitated. Because I still care about you. I laughed bitterly. You care? Is that why you posted a man on your chest just to taunt me? Her face darkened. That was a mistake. I was angry. But this is real. I'm telling you, you need to act first before Vince does. I escaped sharply, my mind racing. Was she telling the truth? Would Vince really be this dangerous now? I said to myself, it was time to make my own move. The night after meeting with Judith, I couldn't sleep. Her warning about Vince echoed in my mind. Could he really be planning something against me? I had overtaken him in wealth, in status and in respect, but I never thought he would go this far. I dismissed the thought and focused on my phone. My client had been responding well since my last ritual, and the money was flowing. Maybe Judith was just trying to manipulate me. Then, things started to change. The first sign, the next morning, I woke up with a splitting headache. It felt like someone was pounding hammer in my skull. I dragged myself to the bedroom and splashed water on my face. And when I looked into the mirror, I froze. A deep dark shadow loomed behind me. It wasn't my reflection. It wasn't my imagination. I spun around. Nothing was there. My heart pounded. I took a deep breath, convincing myself it was just exhaustion. Maybe I had been partying too much, but that was just the beginning. The second sign. Later that evening, I was sitting in my living room when my phone rang. It was a client from Dubai. The moment I answered the call, it's off. Strange. I checked my messages. All my active G's clients who had been ready to send me huge payment had either blocked me or suddenly ghosted. I frowned. That had never happened before. I refreshed my Bitcoin wallet. Balance 0 naira. My body went cold. How could that be possible? Just yesterday, I had millions in it. My hands trembled as I tried to log in again, but my password wasn't working. I picked up my second phone. I called my account manager at the bank. What is going on? My Bitcoin transaction aren't reflecting. There was a long pause before he spoke. Sir, your account has been flagged. All your funds have been placed under investigation. I shot to my feet. What? Investigation for what? I don't know, sir, but there's also an order to freeze all your accounts indefinitely. My entire body turned numb. Who had the power to do this to me? The third sign, I tried to drive to my lawyer's office, but as soon as I entered my car, the car refused to start. The brand new 29 million naira Camaro, I pressed the ignition again, nothing. Frustrated, I grabbed my Tundra key and hopped onto my backpack ride. The engine roared to life. At least something was still working. I drove onto the main road. My phone rang again. Unknown number. I hesitated, then answered. A familiar voice chuckled. How is life treating you, Daniel? I gripped the steering wheel. Vince? Ah, you still recognize my voice? I thought you are too busy cashing out, he said mockingly. What the hell did you do? I spat. Vince laughed. Relax, my boy. I told you this street is deeper than you think. You really thought you could surpass me and enjoy in peace? Vince, I swear. He cut me off. Calm down. This is just the beginning. You took everything from me. Now I will take everything from you. Your money, your mind, your sanity. The call ended. My blood ran cold. I wasn't just under attack. I was at war. I clenched my jaw, gripping the steering wheel so hard my knuckles turned white. Vince had declared war, and I wasn't going to sit back and let him destroy everything I built. I needed to act fast. I pulled over to the side of the road and tried logging into my alternate accounts, the ones Vince didn't know about, all frozen. My heart pounded. This was no ordinary attack. It was spiritual. I needed to see Baba. I drove straight to the shrine, my head spinning. As soon as I arrived, I kicked off my shoes and stormed into the house. Baba was sitting cross-legged in front of his black pot, smoke rising in thin, airy spirals. He didn't look surprised to see me. I was expecting you, he said, not looking up. I dropped to my knees. Baba, I need your help. It's Vince. He's attacking me spiritually, financially, and everything. My accounts are frozen. My clients have disappeared. Even my car has refused to start today. Baba remained silent for a long time, staring deep into the fire. Then he muttered, "It has begun." A chill ran down my spine. What has begun? Baba finally looked at me. His eyes were dark, unreadable. Vince is no longer the man you knew. He had gone beyond this world. He had joined forces with something more powerful than you can imagine. I swallowed hard. Then what do I do? Baba exhaled deeply. You must prepare yourself. What is coming is bigger than you. I frowned. I came here for a solution, Baba. I need my money back, my connections, my life. What ritual do I need to do? Baba shook his head. It is not about ritual anymore. This is now war. His words sent a deep sense of unease through me. I gave you power, Baba continued, but Vince has tapped into a force darker than anything I deal with, and now he has turned that force against you. I stiffened. You mean even you cannot stop him? Baba's eyes flickered. Not the way you think. Suddenly, Baba grabbed a knife from beside him and tossed it at my feet. The sharp blade glinted in the firelight. To fight Vince, you must make a greater sacrifice, he said, his voice colder than I have heard. My mouth went dry. Sacrifice what? Baba leaned forward. Someone close to you. A heavy silence fell over the room. I shook my head. No, I can't. I won't do it. Baba's lip coiled in a dark smile, then prepared to lose everything. I swallowed hard, my mind spinning. What could I sacrifice? Judith? No, she was a traitor. But I wasn't sure I could go that far. Vince? Impossible. He was the one pulling the strings now. I stormed out of Baba's shrine, my mind spinning. Sacrifice someone close to me? Who was even left? My mother was dead. Judith, the traitor, didn't deserve my mercy, but something told me this wasn't just about revenge. As I drove back home in my Tundra, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I hesitated before answering. A deep voice spoke. Daniel, you are running out of time. I froze. Who is this? The voice chuckled. You already know. The spirits are waiting. Either you make a sacrifice or Vince takes everything from you, including your soul. I slammed the brake. My entire body went cold. This wasn't just about money anymore. It was about my life. I needed another way. Sacrifice someone was out of the question, but Baba's word haunted me. Prepare for destruction. I couldn't let Vince win. I called Judith. She answered immediately. Daniel, I took a deep breath. I need to see you. She hesitated. After everything, yes. Meet me at my place in an hour. She signed. Fine. I ended the call and leaned back in my seat. If Baba wasn't going to help me, I needed answers elsewhere. There had to be another way, a way to stop Vince before it was too late. And if that means getting my hands dirty, so be it. I paced back and forth in the living room, gripping a glass of whiskey but barely taking a sip. My mind was racing. Meeting Judith again after everything felt like playing with fire. But I had no choice. Vince was coming for me, and I needed to know what I was up against. I heard the sound of an engine pulling out. I walked to the window and parted the curtain slightly. A sleek black Mercedes has just parked in front of my gate. Judith, I took a deep breath and downed the rest of my drink. Stay calm, Daniel. A few minutes later, a knock at my door. I opened it. There she was. Judith stood there in a fitted black dress, her long braid falling over her shoulders. Her makeup was subtle, but she had the same effect on me. Dangerous, intoxicating, like a venom you knew you could kill, but still wanted to taste. She folded her arms. Are you going to let me in or just stare at me? I stepped aside. Come on in. She walked past me, the faint scent of expensive perfume lingering in the air. I shut the door and turned to find her already making herself comfortable on my couch. Nice place, she said, looking around. I leaned against the wall. Judith, let's keep the small talk. Why did you call me yesterday? She sighed, rubbing her temples. Because you don't understand what's coming. Vince, he's not the same anymore. I narrowed my eyes. You expect me to believe you and you suddenly worried about me? After everything? She looked up at me, her gaze serious. Daniel, I know I betrayed you. I won't deny that. But what Vince is planning is bigger than your revenge. He wants to destroy you completely. Your words, your mind, your life. I clenched my jaw. And how do you know all this? Judith hesitated because I was there when he made the deal. Silence. My heart pounded. What deal? She exhaled deeply. After he overtook him, Vince couldn't take it. His pride was wounded. He tried different babas, different rituals, but nothing worked. Then he found a spiritualist, someone darker, more powerful, someone who promised to wipe you out in exchange for a different kind of sacrifice. I stared at her. What kind of sacrifice? Judith swallowed hard. Vince gave up his soul. A shiver ran down my spine. I walked over and sat across her. You are telling me that Vince is what? Possessed? She shook her head. No, but he's no longer entirely human either. Whatever he made a pact with is inside him now. It's why his power is growing, why your money is disappearing, your mind is sleeping. I leaned forward. Then tell me how to stop him. Judith bit her lips, looking conflicted. That's the problem, Daniel. This isn't like the ritual we did before. This thing inside Vince, it doesn't stop unless the host dies. I stiffened. Are you saying I have to kill Vince? She nodded slowly. I let out a harsh laugh and stood up. Judith, did you hear yourself? This is real life, not Nollywood films. I can't just go and kill him. She looked at me, her face deadly serious. Then he will kill you. I turned away, my mind spinning. Could I really do that? Could I really kill Vince? I don't expect you to believe me, Judith continued. But I know Vince. Stop until you are gone. He already sacrificed something huge. You think he will hesitate to sacrifice you too? She was right. Vince wouldn't stop. I turned back to her. Tell me everything you know about the spiritualist. Where does he operate? How did Vince find him? Judith hesitated. You are not thinking of going there, are you? I didn't answer. She signed. His name is Madam Idris. He's not like Baba. He doesn't do work for just anyone. His rituals are blood rituals. Vince paid with his soul, but he will ask for something worse. Where do I find him? Judith hesitated again. Daniel, if you go down this road, there's no coming back. I stared at her. There was no coming back the day I stepped into Baba's shrine. She looked away, shaking her head. Fine. Madam Idris operates in the outskirts of Benin. But you cannot just walk in. You need an invitation. I frowned. And who gives the invitation? She looked up at me. Vince. I let out a slow breath. So that was it. If I wanted to meet with this spiritualist and find out how to stop Vince, I had to get close to the man trying to kill me. I sat down and ran a hand over my face. This was insane. But what choice did I have? Judith watched me carefully. So what are you going to do? I looked up to her, my decision made. I am going to find Vince. I barely slept that night. Judith had given me the information I needed. Madam Idris, the spiritualist Vince, went to operate from the outskirts of Benin. But I couldn't just walk in and demand answers. I needed an invitation. And the only way to get that was through Vince. Vince had already sold his soul. Now, whatever he has become, he was coming for me. I had to move fast. A sudden warning. The next morning, I sat on my tundra, gripping the steering wheel, thinking the city was waking up around me. Traders opening their shops, kids in school uniform rushing to school, bus conductors shouting destination. Life was moving as if nothing had changed, but my world was no longer normal. I picked up my phone, staring at Vince's contact. I hadn't spoken to him in months, but I needed to draw him out. I need him to invite me to Malam Idris. Just as I was about to make the call, my phone vibrated. Unknown number. I hesitated before answering. Hello, there was a silence, then a deep voice. Slow and deliberate. Daniel, turn back now. I frowned. Who is this? The voice chuckled, low and menacing. The spirit had already marked you. You are walking into your grave. My chest tightened. What the hell are you talking about? Vince knows that you are looking for him. I swallowed hard. Who are you? The voice ignored me. Go home. Burn your Ankara, lock your doors, pray, then cut the call. I stared at the screen, my pulse raising. I had no idea who that was, but I knew one thing. This wasn't an empty threat. Vince was expecting me. Too late to turn back. I had two choices. I could listen to the warning, disappear and try to live in hiding. But I know that wouldn't work. Vince was already draining my wealth. If I ran, he would take everything. I would be nothing, or I could push forward. I exhaled slowly, then tapped on Vince's contact and he died. One phone, twice, and then he picked. There was a silence for a moment, then a familiar chuckle. Ah, my boy, I was wondering when you are going to call. I clenched my jaw. Let's meet. Vince laughed. Meet? For what? You know why. He was silent for a moment, then he signed dramatically. Ah, Daniel, you never listen, do you? I told you this is not your street anymore. You should have walked away. My grip on the phone tightened. Where are you, Vince? He chuckled. You really want to see me? Yes. Another pause. Then he said, fine. Come to the warehouse, 10 p.m. Come alone. The line went dead. I stared at my phone. I knew it was a trap. I knew it, but I had no choice. Into the lion's den. By 9:45 p.m., I was parked outside the old warehouse on the outskirts of Lagos. The place had been abandoned for years. Rusted gates, broken windows, the smell of damp metal in the air. The perfect place for an ambush. I stepped out of the tundra, my pulse steady but my body tense. My fingers twitched towards the knife tucked in my waistband. If Vince wanted a fight, I wasn't coming unprepared. I pushed the gate open. It creaked loudly. Inside the warehouse was dark except for a few flickering bulbs overhead. My footsteps echoed as I walked forward, scanning the shadows. Then I heard the slow clapping. I turned sharply. Vince stepped into the light. The man I once knew was gone. He had changed. His dreadlocks were longer, his face leaner, almost hollow. He wore a black hoodie and ripped jeans, but something about him felt off. His eyes, God, his eyes were wrong. The white had darkened, almost grey, and his purple seemed sharper. "Daniel," he said, smiling. "You look nervous." I clenched my feet. "You are the one who should be nervous." Vince chuckled. "Oh, why is that?" I took a step closer. "Because I am not afraid of you." He tilted his head, amused. "Not yet." Something in his voice sent a shiver down my spine. "Why did you call me here, Daniel?" Vince asked, circling me like a predator. "Did you come to beg for your money back?" "Your life." I kept my face blank. "I want in." Vince stopped. He raised an eyebrow. "Excuse me." I took a breath. "I know you went to Malam Idris. I know you made a deal. And I know whatever he gave you is powerful." Vince smirked. And I want the same." Silence. Then Vince burst into laughter. "Oh, Daniel, you must be truly desperate." He stepped closer, lowering his voice. "Do you know what I sacrificed?" I held my ground. "Whatever it is, I can handle it." Vince smiled spaded. He stared at me for a long time as if trying to read my soul. Then he said, "Fine, let's see if you are worthy." Before I could react, the warehouse lights cut out. Total darkness. A cold wind rushed through the space, and suddenly I wasn't alone. Shadows moved around me. Whispers filled the air. My chest tightened, my breathing rapid. Then I heard Vince say, "Welcome to the other side, Daniel." Flashback: how Judith met Vince. Judith didn't intend to betray Daniel. Not at first. The night she left, she had only planned to stay away from the madness, the rituals, the blood, the things she wasn't supposed to see. But money had a way of pulling people back, and Vince knew that. She was in Accra when Vince found her. He walked into the private lounge of a 5-star hotel where she was drinking champagne surrounded by new friends, big Yahoo boys from Ghana, men with money, but none of them had Vince's presence. "Judith," he had said, sliding into the seat across her. His voice was smooth. His dreadlocks were longer, his skin paler, and his eyes, they weren't normal. She had heard rumors that Vince had gone deeper into the dark, but seeing him now made her stomach twist. "You are looking good," he said, his lips coiling with a smirk. She eyed him cautiously. "What do you want, Vince?" He leaned back, drumming his fingers on the table. "Relax. I just came to talk. You left Daniel, and let's be honest, you are still watching him, aren't you?" Judith exhaled sharply and looked away. Vince chuckled. "I know you, Judith. You don't just leave. You calculate, and I have been feeling you are still keeping tabs on our dear Daniel." She hesitated, then said, "He thinks he's untouchable, that he has won." Vince leaned forward, his eyes glinting with something dark. "Then that is where he's wrong. He doesn't even know what is coming." Judith's throat tightened. "What do you mean, Vince?" Vince smiled widening. I leveled up. He raised his hands, and before Judith could react, the lights in the room flickered. The air grew heavier, and the champagne glass in front of her cracked on its own. Judith's breath hit. "Jesus Christ!" Vince laughed softly. "Not Jesus, sweetheart. Malam Idris." And that was how she knew Daniel was in trouble.